Trevor, what game are we playing today?
Mystery of the Abbey.
And do you like Mystery of the Abbey?
I love it.
Awesome. Why do you love it?
Because it's mysterious, and I like these kind of games.
Oh, cool. Well, what are you trying to do?
You are trying to find out who killed the monk, I guess.
Okay.
So at the start of the game, there are all these monk cards, and they're all in one big pile, and you shuffle them up, and you hide one under the game board. And that's the monk who killed the presiding monk. And then everyone else depending on how many players there are, gets a certain amount of cards. And since there's 4, there's 5 cards to each player. This would be one of the cards. This is one of my cards. It's Novice Felipe.
Okay, so you know he didn't do it.
Right. So this handy dandy sheet right here has all the monks on it. And there's 5 characteristics for each monk. There's Templars, Franciscus, Benedicts, Fathers, Brothers, Novices, hooded, unhooded, bearded or unbearded, and fat or skinny. And each monk has those 5 traits. So when you have your cards, you just mark off what your cards say.
Okay.
And you'd have a pencil on each person would have one of these sheets, and so you just cross off in this little box. So there are many different rooms, and these rooms, I'll start with these, are the monks' bedrooms, the cells. So this would belong to the blue one, the red one, the black one, and so forth. Then there's the cloisters right here. They are just empty spaces that you have to move through. Here's the chapel, and that's where everybody starts the game. These are confessionals right here, which this one can be entered through the chapel and this one through the courtyard. This crypt area is where you draw a crypt card, and that lets you take an extra turn. This area right here, which is the parlor, lets you take one of these cards, which are like never before seen monks that didn't do it. The scriptorium here lets you draw a scriptorium card, and the biblioteca, which can only be entered under certain terms, lets you draw a biblioteca card. And right here is where you make your accusations and revelations.
Sweet.
Lots of stuff, lots of rooms.
So how does a turn work?
Well, on your turn, you have 2 moves. There's no rolling die. You just move either once or twice. So let's say I was blue. I would say, okay, 1, and then I could choose to either go to a cloister right here or the confessional right here. And to make things interesting, let's say I went to the confessional. So now that I'm here, since it's the red die, the red monk that's showing, I would say, okay, give me one of your cards, red, and I would take one of their cards. But then I would put it onto the blue one because I'm the blue monk. And so now that any other person enters that, they would take a card from me, but then they would switch it to their color, and so forth.
Nice.
Let's say I was in here, and then green went, and they landed in the same space that I was. Green then would have to ask me a question concerning the monks that did it. So the cool part about this game is that you get to ask the people the questions, and you get to choose what the questions are. But it can't be who did it, because that's just too direct. You have to say, how many Templars do you have crossed off? Or how many fat monks do you have crossed off? Things like that.
You have to be very creative in your questions, I think, is the tough part, huh?
There's lots of room for creativity.
And do they have to answer?
They don't have to answer. They can take a vow of silence, which is when they do this, and then you're pretty much hopeless and you don't get an answer. Or if they do answer your question, they get to ask you a question, but you have to answer it, and you can't take a vow of silence.
Nice.
So
nice play.
It's a little bit.
Okay, so everybody goes out and asks each other questions, goes to special rooms?
Yeah, so everyone goes out, gets cards, stuff. If you go into a monk's cell, you get to take one of their cards. So let's say I was in the green cell right here. I would take green's card.
Okay.
But if green caught me in his cell by coming into his cell, then the yellow monk would come all the way back to the chapel and serve pension, which is losing a turn.
Yeah.
And they'd
have to
pray for a turn.
Have to get penance, huh?
Yeah, you've got to repent. So right
What are
here
those cards there? Yeah.
is each time all the monks move, this moves forward spaced until it gets to 4. When it gets to 4 and everyone has moved, the person who's in charge of these cards for the round rings the bell, and that's when everybody, wherever they are, all comes back to the chapel.
For Mass.
For Mass. Okay. And then on these cards, there's different descriptions for these cards.
Okay. So,
and so
different things happen at Mass?
You do what happens, and you draw an event card, and you do whatever it says on the event card.
So what does this event card say?
This event card says each pawn is put into his own cell. So instead of starting in the chapel, everyone will start in their own cell.
That's cool. So the event cards mix it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
The other cards also mix it up or give you special abilities to break the rules for that turn.
Right.
Sweet.
And then the person in charge of Mass, this is passed on to the person on the right. So if I was in charge of it, it would be passed on to this player. And play continues to the left.
Nice. Okay, so what's this whole thing about a revelation? Or how do you get points by not just guessing the winner or the killer at the end?
Well, revelations and accusations, let's say accusation. You guess the accusation right and you say, I know that it was Father Bruno, and you're in this place because that's where you have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, first, everyone would look at their cards, and if they had Father Bruno, they would show it to you. You'd go to the chapel, you'd lose your turn, serve penance, and you would get -2 points.
Ooh, so false final accusation is a -2.
Yeah.
What if you get it right?
If you get it right, you get 4 points, and the game ends. Revelations just say, I know that it is a bearded monk. So that would be a revelation to you, and all the revelations are written down somewhere.
Okay.
So at the end of the game, if your revelation happened to be correct and it was a bearded monk, you'd get +2 points. But if your revelation was wrong and it wasn't a bearded monk, you'd get -1 point.
So you can make revelations even if you're not sure.
That's right.
You could say, okay, I think it was a skinny monk.
Mm-hmm. And it could turn out to be a fat monk.
Okay, so if everybody else is basing their guesses off of what you reveal,
then that could be a wrong thing. So you kind of have that thing, okay, maybe he's right, but I don't know, because I still have a couple of monks that I think it might be that doesn't match their revelation.
So very mysterious, huh?
Yes.
Awesome. So what would you rate Mystery of the Abbey?
4.75.
Wow, a very high mark in your book, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's your kind of game. Awesome. Big thumbs up then. All right, thanks, Trev.